All right, here we go. Good Sunday, everybody. So it looks like it's good morning on the West Coast. Still good morning in the Mountain Time Zone. Central Time Zone, you are high noon. Good afternoon to the East Coast, and then we have our friends overseas. Welcome in, and it's good evening to you if I have my math right. All right, video-based rules session number 2. Thanks again for everybody's participation. We just really appreciate, in this time being able to get on and talk football. So grateful for this opportunity for us all to talk football. My name is Brandon Cruz. We're going to get through a bunch of plays. So we know we have themed sessions, and then we have these video-based rules sessions. All right. So basically, we want to talk rules today. So different concepts, bunch of different topics. There's always judgment involved. And we're not going to get too caught up in judgment unless there is an absolute rule reference we can use to basically underpin why the judgment was made. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We still have people logging in. We're just going to get started. A lot of polls, a lot of videos, and we're going to, off we go. So to start things off, we're basically going to look at the same play about, 15 different times or something like that. And we're going to dive deep into penalty enforcement. All right. So we're going to start the video. We're going to get some polls up. Now I'm going to ask you to kind of basically, stretch your mind with me a little bit. The play is going to play over quite a bit. I'm going to launch a poll. We're going to assume the spot of the offensive hold by team A is behind the neutral zone. All right, so we know the run ends beyond the neutral zone in the left side zone. You get a bunch of different looks at the play. It's the same play over and over. It's just going to loop. Assume the spot of the foul by team A is basically at or behind the neutral zone. Where would we enforce the penalty from? Okay, so you're really gonna get to love this play as we watch it over and over again. Here comes the poll. You've been looking at the play. We're trying to solve the issue of not basically giving you not enough time to vote. So okay, votes are coming in. We've been looking at the play. Again, the run ends in the left side zone beyond the neutral zone. We're assuming the spot of the foul. We're not even worried about the foul. We know there's a foul. It's right there, point of attack. Good call. We're assuming the spot of that foul is at or behind the neutral zone. All right, so still a few votes coming in. We will go ahead. It looks like everything's evened out. If we're still not giving you enough time to vote, just let us know in the chat, and we're continuing to work on our learning curve with the platform. All right, so we end the poll. Hopefully I remembered to press the publish button so that y'all could see it. 91% enforced the penalty from the previous spot. 7% enforced the penalty from the spot of the foul. So if we assume that the foul was behind the neutral zone, at or behind the neutral zone, we know that we have a running play. So what do we have to do to enforce penalties? We have to identify spots. Our first step is to identify the basic spot, running play. Running play that ends beyond the neutral zone, basic spot is the end of the run, right there, just inside the 10-yard line. We said assume the spot of this offensive hold is at or behind the neutral zone where the X is. So, think about at the end of this play, we got a ball down at the circle. We got a flag down at the X. We know we have a down marker at that line just inside the 15-yard line it is, right about the 14. And so we're going to basically, spot of the fouls behind the neutral zone, run ends beyond the neutral zone. By rule, with these blocking fouls that occur at or behind the neutral zone, we enforce 10 yards, in this case, from the previous spot. All right. So play 2, here we go. It's going to look pretty familiar, but the situation is going to be different. All right. So help me out, expand your mind. Now we're going to assume the spot of the offensive hold by A is beyond the neutral zone, but behind the end of the run. Okay? You'll see a lot of different replays. It should probably look pretty familiar. It's the same play. So it'll loop. The spot of the offensive hold now by A is beyond the neutral zone and behind the end of the run. So we're talking 3-and-1 principle. We're talking penalty enforcement, warming us up for a few different rules concepts later. You say, well, this is easy. This is rudimentary, maybe. But we make enforcement mistakes every single year in college football. So it's just good in the off season to remind us and go through these repetitions, chunk out the plays. How do you analyze the play? You know, how do you get to the proper enforcement? Okay, so we're voting. You should hopefully have plenty of time to vote. I'll end the poll. 94% enforce the penalty from the spot of the foul. So the result says 94% enforce the penalty from the spot of the foul. Correct. Why? Same situation. End of the run, same spot. Right at the circle. Here we go. End of the run is at the circle. Okay, just inside the 10-yard line. Now we got a spot of the foul. Use the X. You're going to get used to my little diagram here. Use the X. Spot of the foul is at the big guy's right foot. And we still have our line of scrimmage just inside the 15, about the 14-yard line. So what do we have? Ball down at the circle, flag down at the X, down marker. We got a good chain crew. Pre-game with your chain crews. Don't move if you see a flag. Now we've got 3 reference points. What do? We go to the spot of the foul, walk back 10. Okay? Moving along. Same play, different scenario. Same play, different scenario. We're doing pretty good with our rules enforcement. Let's keep it up. Now, assume the spot of this offensive hold by A is beyond the end of the run, right? So beyond, if we have 2 reference points, the one that's closer to Team B's goal line is considered beyond. We're assuming the spot of the foul by Team A is beyond the end of the run. Couple looks. Poll is published. Are you sick of this play yet? That's all right. Go with me here. This is how we get better. We got to rep these things out. Different scenarios. Where's the end of the run? Where's the spot of the foul? And let's talk about the results. 98%. Enforce the penalty from the end of the run. So we got a pretty good crew on here. We got a pretty good crew. We understand the rules. Okay, same play. The run ends inside the 10. Same diagram. Circle, end of the run. Running play, beyond the neutral zone. Basic spot, end of the run. Got to know that. Spot of the foul is out there inside the 5-yard line. We've all seen those big takedowns that, deep in the second level, so to speak. So at the end of this play, what do we have? Ball inside the 10, flag inside the 5, down marker right inside the 15. Where do we mark this back from? Basic spot is the end of the run. The foul by the team in possession is beyond the end of the run. We're going to walk back 10 from the end of the run. Okay, very good job. So here we go. Now we're going to flip it up a little bit. Let's flip it up, and instead, let's put the foul on the defense. Okay, bear with me, wrong video. Here's this learning curve I was talking about. Bear with me right here. There we go. Okay, fouls on defense. Same play, but assume the spot of the foul by B. B's the defense. The spot of the foul is behind the end of the run. Okay, behind, beyond, same connotation. So now we have the same play, except we have a defensive foul behind the end of the run. What would that be? Hands to the face, face mask, something like that, right? So you don't need to see the play a million times over. I'll keep the poll going. I'll keep the poll going. We'll try to solve that issue as I explained. So get your votes in. We'll break it down. Okay, I'll end the poll. 93%. Enforce the penalty from the end of the run. Okay, so remember, foul was by B. Spot of the foul was behind the end of the run. The run ends beyond the neutral zone. The basic spot is the end of the run. Foul by the team not in possession. Okay, spot of the foul is behind the end of the run. Where do we enforce? From the end of the run. So we're almost perfect. Okay, if you're on the other side of these votes, you know, ask questions and we'll address those, right? So we can basically have, in this case, we can basically have the running play ending where it was. The spot of the foul can be beyond the neutral zone or behind the neutral zone, you know, as long as we're just talking about a foul behind the end of the run. So maybe we have a flag at the X, maybe we have a flag at the X, you know, in the backfield. We're going to go half the distance to the goal against team B toward the end of the run. All right, last chance on this play. I hope you're sick of this play because I was sick of this play preparing it, but we're just talking about the basics of penalty enforcement. All right, it's April. Let's make sure we work our fundamentals, and then we should be able to nail all these penalty enforcements. Okay, last chance. Assume the spot of the foul by B is beyond the end of the run. All right, spot of the foul by B is beyond the end of the run now. So we got the same play. You know, disregard the actual flags, but we have a spot of the foul by B now beyond the end of the run, which means wherever the end of the run is, the spot of the foul is closer to the goal line than the end of the run. Okay, so if the beyond and behind, you know, if those words, if that doesn't make sense, you know, maybe I could have had a diagram to show that, but hopefully these play examples are showing what we mean by beyond and behind. All right, so we have the pull. We assumed that the foul by the defense was beyond the end of the run. Okay, and the pull, what do? You know, we enforce the penalty from the end of the run. So a few more folks maybe thought, hey, let's get the defense where it hurts them the most, and that's the miss in penalty enforcement that we want to be careful about. Usually we can rely on that, but that's not the case with this specific scenario. So what do we have? End of the run's the circle. Spot of the foul is the X. We still have our line of scrimmage, you know, back at the 14, wherever that was. Okay, so we know that the basic spot is still the circle. The fact that the foul is beyond by B does not change the fact the basic spot is the end of the run. So in this case, what does 3 and 1 tell us? Fouls by the team not in possession beyond the basic spot, enforce the penalty from the basic spot. Okay, so that's just a quick 13-ish minute, you know, session on penalty enforcement. And if we have any questions, now would be a good time to pause before we go on. But maybe we don't. All right, sounds like the questions are getting taken care of in the chat, which we appreciate. So simple concepts, but not when you get started, right? Penalty enforcement can be complicated. So we'll move on, okay? All right, so let's go on to play 2. So now, you know, we're getting away from penalty enforcement for a little bit. Talk about forward progress. Okay, forward progress. Well, I thought you said it was a rules session. It is a rules session. We're going to talk a lot of things about forward progress, and by rule, how, you know, what are the aspects of judging forward progress by rule? Not talking too much about the actual judgment. Look at the poll, look at the play loops. Okay, so, you know, judging forward progress by rule. The receiver controls the pass while airborne and never loses control of the ball. So at what point is his forward progress stopped? Okay, just forget about whatever you think the result of the play is. We'll talk about that later. Just purely answer the question based on the rule. Let me play the video one more time because I think I want to make sure everybody got a chance to see it. So we'll play the video one more time. The poll's still up. We still have votes coming in. So at what point is forward progress stopped by rule? All right. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. Now we got a split decision. And look, the split decision is between when the receiver first controls the pass or when the defender makes contact to the receiver. And when the receiver is moving backward, we still have to have contact by the defense to consider it forward progress. If the receiver is moving backward on his own, we don't give him forward progress just because of that fact. There's got to be contact by the defense. So watch. We've got an airborne receiver, control, never loses control. The instant the defense makes contact and continues pushing him backward, even if he was already going that way, that's when forward progress is established. Okay, so we can do some what ifs. We can do some what ifs. Let's say that big line is the goal line or the line to gain, whatever it is. All right, and let's say the on-field officials rule touchdown or a first down. So the official comes up, marks it. Maybe we're using cross-field mechanics, whatever the case is. This is the point where replay can get involved, by rule. So what replay can do in that instance is, and it's important that we communicate. We can't just put our hand up and come in and just think everything's going to be okay. We got to communicate what we're doing. So if we use the scenario where that red line, that big line was the goal line, and we rule touchdown or we don't or whatever, it doesn't matter. This isn't a great angle, so we're not even worried about what was actually done on this play. If we announce the ruling on the field is the receiver's forward progress was stopped in the end zone for a touchdown, now we let replay in. On the other hand, if we basically just let this play and we let the receiver come down to the ground, watch it, we're going back and forth here. We let the receiver come down to the ground. If we just talk about, if we don't announce anything or we say that the receiver was down by rule, then even if the receiver controlled the ball and defensive contact was made in the end zone, if we don't announce forward practice, replay can't really help us out. So it's important to clearly communicate the ruling on the field. All right. When the goal line or the line of gain is not involved, replay is out of moving the ball relative to forward progress. Okay, so A, important to make accurate judgments on the field. B, when forward progress is involved, it's important to communicate to everybody, including replay, that we ruled forward progress, especially if the ball ends up coming out. Okay. All right, so pause there. What about any questions here after this play?
Hey, Brandon, we don't have any questions. That was an awesome breakdown on the forward progress, but just go back to that first play. Just want to make sure. I think we've got a pretty good understanding, but just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, this did come up. If we have a team B foul on the run play, like in play one, and the run ends behind the neutral zone, just take us through that enforcement real quick.
Team B foul and the run ends behind the neutral zone?
Correct.
Okay, so we know that by rule, the basic spot is the end of the run, except the fact that, the run ends behind the neutral zone. So that basically makes the basic spot the previous spot. So we tack on from the previous spot. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, very good. Very good. So we'll move on. We're 20 minutes in. We're rolling. We've talked penalty enforcement. We've talked forward progress, a little review rules. If there's any questions, review rules. Wow. Instant replay rules. If there's any questions, tee them up and we'll get there. Okay, play 3, a little different play. Kind of a water bucket type of play. Really interesting, really fun to look at these kinds of plays. All right, so the play is going to loop. We're going to get the pull out. All right, check this out. The quarterback controls his own pass in the air. Don't see that very often. And then he spikes it to the ground. Okay, what should the proper ruling be? You've got some choices. Incomplete illegal forward pass. Basically what you'd be saying there is a double pass. Would it be considered a legal backward pass? And then in this case, award the ball to team B in the immediate continuing action, give them that immediate recovery. Would it be a incomplete legal forward pass, or is this a foul for illegally batting the football? And so we'll get through this play, and then we can loop back to the forward progress play if questions are coming. Okay, so keeping the poll up, get your votes in. Don't want to hear anything about not having enough time to vote today. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, if it's not working for you, let us know. Okay, I'll end the poll. 68% incomplete legal forward pass, right? Incomplete legal forward pass. Correct. Why? Let's talk about it. Okay, so here we go. Quarterback obviously throws the ball forward. No question. This is one of those where we have to think about, should we rule forward pass? Should we rule fumble? No. This is an obvious forward pass. Okay, so we got the ruling. Now, the defense touches the ball right there. He touches the ball, number 12 for the team in white. Touches the ball. What does that mean? That basically means everybody's eligible. Okay, we don't have to worry about who touches the ball next in terms of eligibility. Quarterback happens to jump in the air. He goes airborne. I wish I had that vertical. I don't. And he controls the ball while airborne. Okay, is that possession? No. Even though the ball is in his firm control, by rule, this is still a loose ball in the form of a forward pass. In fact, he could actually pitch this ball forward. I say pitch, just go with me. He could redirect the ball forward to number 75, number 57. Why? Once 12 touches it, like I mentioned, all these guys are now eligible. So if this quarterback, think about it. We can see this play someday. They had the presence of mind, redirect that ball to 75 would be a completely legal play. Okay, this is just a loose ball forward pass. It doesn't matter if he spikes it backward, doesn't matter if he spikes it forward. All he's doing is legally batting a pass in play. He's an eligible player by rule. Look it up. It's in Rule 9 somewhere. I think it's 9-4. Testing me. 9-6, something like that. Any eligible player can legally bat a pass unless it's a backward pass that's batted forward by the passing team. So that is a completely legal play, legal forward pass that goes incomplete to the ground. All right, push back on that. Let us know if you have questions. And let's get, I think we had some forward progress questions. Let's tee them up.
Yeah, Brandon, you made a mention of making an announcement regarding the forward progress and the official not just coming up and with his hand. Can you talk about what your announcement would sound like on that play?
Yes. So it's really we got to be situationally aware. So if the line of game's threatened, the goal line's threatened, my announcement, first of all, I need communication, okay? We kind of have a sense as referees from back there what's going on. We got smoke, we got the guy getting pushed back and everything like that. But I need some communication because I don't just want to make announcements for the ruling on the field if I'm not 100% sure. So the line of scrimmage official needs to basically come in with his hand up. If you're ruling forward progress, please don't point to the ground. Don't point to the ground. You're telling everybody that you're ruling the player down before the ball came loose in the case where, we have a potential fumble. But in this play, come in hard with your hand up. Maybe you're using your off-field partner. I got forward progress. I got forward progress right here. And then I can simply just make an announcement that, let's say that's the line of game. The ruling on the field is the receiver's forward progress was stopped beyond the line of game. The result of the play is a first down. Okay, replay takes a look at it. That allows replay in. Now they know we've got forward progress. Replay basically can look and see if there's indisputable video evidence that suggests his forward progress was stopped short of the line of game. The same is true if we rule him short. I've got his forward progress stopped short of the line of game. Now replay wants to look for indisputable video evidence that his forward progress was stopped beyond the line of game. That's reviewable. In the absence of a line to gain or a goal line, it's not reviewable, all right? Here's where we get into trouble with forward progress. We're ruling forward progress, and it's kind of like I mentioned. So the player gets knocked back, and there's a tiny element of time, but then the ball's on the ground. for what the defense thinks is a fumble. And most of the time they play right through any ruling, any whistle. They pick the ball up, they run it the other way. They think they've scored. But we're owning our position. We're selling our calls. We're coming in. We've got forward progress. Same type of communication. Now it's not about the line to gain or the goal line because we've got a potential turnover, but we still have to make an announcement. Line of scrimmage official says, hey, I got forward progress prior to the fumble. The referee's announcement, he flips the mic on. It's an unpostured announcement, getting it up to replay, getting it over the PA. The ruling on the field is the runner's forward progress was stopped prior to the football coming loose. Okay? And, that basically right there, it would be very rare for replay to ever get involved in that. You would almost have to see the fumble beginning before any contact by the defense, which is almost impossible. We've seen it, but 1 in 10 million. So if we rule forward progress and then a fumble after the contact, it's not reviewable. All right.
All right. Yeah, that was a great explanation. I guess for the people who are not aware, unpostured, when Brandon made a statement of unpostured announcement, basically he's not going to spin, stand, wait for the camera, and then make an actual announcement. He's just going to, as he's moving around to go to his next position, he's going to flip on the mic and make an announcement. One other thing, Brandon, I know we're not trying to get into judgment. There were some rule questions on forward progress, and maybe this is not one we want to touch here. Maybe just get people to review forward progress, but I'll tee it up to you, and then you decide how you want to handle it. We're asking, what is the appropriate way to judge forward progress in that scenario?
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot of elements of forward progress. The player who controls the ball gets knocked several yards back. All right. So what you want to see, this is a tough play. This is a tough play. Let's just forget about this play. Basically, what you want to see is some element of time where the runner has reestablished the ability to move forward under his own power. Okay, so that's basically the guideline. Some element of time, this clear element of time where the runner has the ability to move forward under his own power. If that doesn't exist, then forward progress, you've got that forward progress spot hanging. Okay, with that said, we just need reps. We just need to work plays, and we're going to make judgments in the moment. It's not too important to look at plays judgment based and talk, and debate them, because we could probably stay on here in all honesty on that play, and 50% of us would say that his forward progress was stopped, moved the ball up to where defense first contacted him, and 50% of us might say no, he regained his own feet, he regained his own power, put the ball back where he ultimately was down. Look, make a call, make a judgment, sell it, let's move on.
Very good, very good. Hey, Brandon, let's move on to that last play that we just watched. Such a interesting, unique action that ultimately, just ends in an incomplete pass, which is one of the reasons it's such a cool game. But man, it sure looks like when the quarterback jumps up to grab that ball, he's got really good control on that ball. Can you talk to us a little bit about why that's not another illegal forward pass? And then secondarily, knowing that it's not, what are his limitations relative to batting that ball? Do we need to be thinking about what direction it goes? And just speak to those two things for us. A lot of conversation.
A lot of good conversation. Love it. It's a play that you just don't see very often. I think in college football, obviously I don't watch every play of every game, but I know for a fact we've had that play 2 times in the last 2, maybe 3 seasons. I think maybe the one my good buddy John O'Neill had it a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So, all right. So why? Yeah, he controls the ball. The key word there is control. We don't say possess the ball, because possession indicates he completed the process of the catch. It's the same, and we're going to have a big session on process of the catch coming up here in a couple weeks. The quarterback controls the ball airborne, never gets a body part on the ground. Therefore, there's no, by rule, this is by rule, not philosophy, by rule, he has not gained possession. He has not caught the ball. So all this is, like I said, is a loose ball. It was a forward pass that's been batted by the defense. It's just a loose ball. It's a pass in the air, controlled by an airborne player. and redirected to the ground. I know you can't use the word catch, okay? I know that when we're playing ball in the backyard, and well, now we're basically playing ball in the house, if you're like us. Okay, yeah, I mean, you jump up and you catch the ball. Okay, but that's not the definition and by rule what we're talking about. What does it take to complete a catch? Control the football, body part on the ground, you know, and control with time to be transition to a runner. If you're not able to transition to a runner, control through the ground to complete the process of the catch. So this quarterback jumps up, controls the football in the air, never has his body part on the ground, and redirects the ball to the ground. Very, very smart play by the quarterback. Not sure if he knows the rule or just got lucky. Probably the real answer is it's really good coaching. Okay. So talk about direction of, now this is really just a bat, right? It's an intentional redirection of the ball, of a loose ball. There's no limitation on which direction you can legally bat the football. This is a forward pass. The only limitation on batting a pass is a backward pass batted forward by the passing team. That would be illegal. This is just a loose ball, caught in the air, see, it's easy to slip. Controlled in the air, redirected to the ground, whether it's forward, whether it's backward, completely legal. And like I said, he could have redirected it to that lineman, because we know that once the ball is touched by the defense, in this case, all players now become eligible to touch the forward pass. So the key here is the ball, maintains its status as a loose ball in the form of a forward pass, and it's legal for any eligible player to bat a forward pass in any direction.
Beautiful. Perfect. I think we're good to move on to Tom, unless you have something.
Very good. Very good. That's what we're talking about, video-based rules play. There's so many rules in here. How do you understand this by just reading the rule book? If anybody can figure that out, let me know, because it's hard to understand these things. We have to see play examples to tie rules together. Certainly it's important to read the rule book, but I mean, I don't know if you can really understand that play if you just pick up the college rule book for the first time. I certainly can't. Okay, play 4. All right. So talk about illegal touching, eligible players running out of bounds, all these different things. So start the poll. The play hopefully should loop. So the officials ruled that the wide receiver stepped out of bounds on his own, reestablished in the field of play, and caught the pass in bounds. Okay, so think about this. Put yourself in the shoes of these officials making this ruling, line judge and the field judge. What should be reported to the referee? All right, so your options are foul for illegal touching. And if you're curious, the code we use there is ITP, illegal touching of a pass. Should you report incomplete pass? All right. Or basically the third option in your poll is really doesn't matter. The result is the same. So what should we report? Foul for illegal touching, incomplete pass, or either illegal touching or incomplete, because it's kind of a distinction without a difference is what you'd be saying there. Okay, so we got a lot of good looks. Votes are trickling in. Looks like we did pretty good with the votes. Okay, everybody has seen the play. All right, now let's start to break it down. We'll publish the poll as we are transitioning through the controls of this beautiful, beautiful platform. All right, publish the poll. 88% say report this as a foul for illegal touching. 4% report it as an incomplete pass. 7% basically say, doesn't really matter, same result. And why do they say that? Because, you know, the penalty for an illegal touching of a pass places the ball at the previous spot. But it is important that we report this appropriately. It's important that we throw the flag. It's important that we enforce this penalty. So here we go. Field judge coming up to mark this spot. Line judge. What we need to see here is a firm, strong signal for what we're ruling. All right. Look, the player's going to toss you the ball there, line judge. You may just want to swat that ball away Give us the ruling on the field. Are you ruling incomplete or are you ruling catch? We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Okay, so we need a signal. We need either a signal for incomplete. We need a signal for a catch to give us a ruling on the field. It's really, really important for our replay people. All right, talk about the mechanics. Field judge has his hat off. What does that mean? We see the play. Here we go. There's his hat on the ground, his beautiful head of hair, which not all of us can say we have, is there in full display, and here they come. Okay, so we look at this play now. So let's talk about why do we need to report this accurately? This is a foul, illegal touching of a pass by an originally eligible receiver who stepped out of bounds. In this case, we're ruling that he voluntarily stepped out of bounds. Okay, so he stepped out on his own. We need to report this as a foul for illegal touching rather than just waving it off. And here comes the referee. Referees, get involved. You sense the smoke. You see your official with his hat off, get involved. We need to report this accurately because it could offset a defensive foul. So let's say we had the defense also lined up in the neutral zone. We would definitely not want to just disregard, this foul and then only penalize the defense. That's in the case where we rule a catch. And that's why it's so important to get a ruling on the field. We know we've got a foul hanging, but we have to finish the play and give replay, give the crew a ruling on the field. Because if we just simply quit on this play and say, I don't care, we're just going to rule it, as incomplete, then we're going to end up unfairly penalizing the defense. Okay? If there was a defensive foul. The other thing is, it's reviewable as to whether or not the receiver reestablishes back in bounds before he touches the pass. So he clearly does in this case. He reestablishes, and so we have a catch. He went out of bounds voluntarily. He reestablishes inbounds. He's inbounds now. We got the field judge looking at the feet. Finish the play. Give us a signal. Just because we have a hat off, we're going to throw a flag. It might be a late flag. That's okay. Finish the play. And in that case, replay can look, and if they have indisputable video evidence that he did not reestablish, they can overturn the incomplete. And in that case, if we do have a defensive foul, then we would penalize the defense, and that would be the only foul we have. Okay, so in this case, the officials ruled that he was voluntarily out of bounds. Reestablished inbounds, was first to touch the forward pass. So basically the takeaway here is give us a ruling on the field. Give us a ruling on the field because you don't know as a calling official if there's another foul on the plate. So give us the ruling on the field. Just go about your normal mechanics, report the foul, and let's enforce the penalty. As illegal touching, the penalty places the ball at the previous spot with a loss of down and move on. All right.
So Brandon, we have a question that is near and dear to my heart. What are we going to do with the clock on this play after you make your announcement? What are we doing with the game clock?
Yeah, so the clock, look, what's the result of the play? That's what we always have to know. The result of the play is a completed pass, and the runner's out of bounds. So if we're outside of 2 minutes in either half, the clock is going to start on the ready. If we're inside of 2 minutes in the half, the clock could start on the snap. Obviously we get into scenarios, what team is ahead, 3-4-3 applications and all these different things. But in general, let's just talk about outside of 2 minutes. Clock's going to start on the ready for play because the result of the play is a catch with a runner out of bounds. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. All right. Awesome. So good question. And that's why we're talking. Look, I thought about, probably spent hours thinking about this play. That's just a great point. What are we going to do with the clock? There's so many administrative aspects, and there's really no detail that that we can't cover enough, right? So okay, let's move on. Play 5. Play 5. Oh man, kicking game. Everybody's favorite, right? Play 5. Here we go. Okay, watch this play. We're going to have, this is basically, look at the time, 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Surprise onside kick. And not only does it surprise the defense, but it very often surprises us. Right? So we got to be ready. We can talk about, mindsets into every kickoff and all those kinds of things, but let's look at the play. So surprise onside kick. What's the poll say? What does the receiving team player need to do to be given an unimpeded opportunity to catch the kick? Okay, so your 3 options. Position himself with a reasonable chance to catch the ball. Position himself with a reasonable chance to catch the ball and give a valid fair catch signal, or nothing. I mean, maybe some of us think, look, he does not get an unimpeded opportunity to catch an onside. It's an onside kick, for crying out loud. It's past 10 yards. It's fair game. Let's see how the votes come in. Okay, you're seeing the play. Hopefully you're looking at, hopefully you got enough time for the poll is what I'm trying to say. We're taking your feedback to heart and trying to give everybody time to cast their votes. Okay, tough play. I mean, literally, in my opinion, when I look at this play, one of the best calls I saw all season, and we'll talk about why I'll end the poll. 75% position himself with a reasonable chance to catch the ball. 18%, said, yeah, he needs to have a chance to catch the ball, but he's also got to give a fair catch signal. Okay, 5%, you thought this was a fair game. So let's talk about why the 75% are correct. Okay. So we go back, we're controlling things. We are moving slow. Okay, so we'll break the play down. And we want to understand why a ruling of kick catch interference and enforcing that penalty would be the proper outcome. Okay, so watch. What is this? This is a pooch kick, right? The ball never strikes the ground off the tee. So we know there's some rules going on here, right? So if the kicker is going to kick the ball in the air without the ball going off the ground, basically KCI, kick catch interference, is on. Okay. What else? What other rule? We know that if it's one bounce into the ground and it goes up into the air as if it was kicked in the air, KCI is on. What is KCI? Kick catch interference. Okay. On the other hand, if the kicker, he kicks it off the tee, it bounces twice and then goes in the air, what do we know? KCI is off. Okay, so that's important. That's important. We always got to see how the ball comes off the tee. Like we said, in this case, look at kicker. Basically, it's a pooch kick. Surprise onside, puts the ball in the air. Okay, is this receiving team player, does he have a reasonable chance to catch the ball? Yes, of course. We would all nobody would disagree with that. He's tracking the ball in flight. He's going up to make a play on the ball. Look, we know that we're beyond the receiving team's restraining line, but we already talked about, when the receiving team has protection for making an unimpeded opportunity, and he does not need to give a fair catch signal. He does not need to give a fair catch signal. By rule, if the ball is kicked in the air or one bounce and then into the air, he has an unimpeded opportunity to catch the kick. Okay, so I hope that clears it up. It's basically pretty much all about how the ball comes off the tee. Two bounces, that kicking team player could have done exactly what he did. He could have basically stole the ball right out of the hands of the receiving team player. One bounce and into the air as if it was kicked off the air, kick off the tee into the air. We got to give the receiving team an unimpeded opportunity. No bounces, just pooch kick into the air. We got to give the receiving team an unimpeded opportunity to catch the kick, and there is no fair catch signal required. All right. So that was play 5. We are moving. We're 44 minutes in. And here we go on to play 6. Maybe. Looks like we have got a little freezing action going on here, which is interesting because I'm up here in Rapid City, South Dakota. It's not as cold as you all might think it is. I mean, it's like 65 degrees today. There is no freezing. We're gonna work through why this will not scroll.
Brandon,
move on to play 6. Go ahead.
Brandon, great joke there. First of all, really nice
No,
executed.
Well, it wasn't really a joke, you know.
Oh, okay. Hey, real quick, just to make sure we're on the same page. So we're really comfortable enforcing KCI from a scrimmage kick perspective. Any differences when we're in a free kick? Just speak to what our enforcement looks like there on that KCI on the free kick.
Oh yeah, that can be a common misconception. So normally on free kicks, you know, for the receiving team to keep the ball on a foul by the kicking team, the ball has to belong to the receiving team at the end of the play. Not the case with KCI. Now look, these are special enforcements. You know, it'd be nice if every penalty had its own. If every penalty followed a pattern that we could just apply to every single foul. That would be great. But that's not the case. And the rules makers realize that there's, you know, if it was just a standard approach to every penalty, that would unfairly disadvantage teams. So in this case, what they've decided is we're going to put the flag at the spot of the foul where the kick catch interference occurs. We're going to mark off 15 yards, and it's going to be the receiving team's ball. Okay, so there's really no do-over for the kicking team in that case. Okay, play 6. All right, here we go. We are back. Unfrozen, perhaps. Probably shouldn't have said that. Okay, play 6. Here we go, multiple foul situations. So we're going to have really good call for defensive pass interference, and then a mediocre call for roughing the passer. Okay, so we have pass interference called on the defense. We have roughing the passer called on the defense. 2 fouls on the same team on the same side. 2 fouls on the defense. DPI RPS. That's our abbreviation for roughing the passer. Okay, so where do we enforce this? How do we enforce this? Okay, you got 4 options. Place the ball at the spot of the DPI foul. Do you mark off 15 yards from the previous spot? Are we going to go half the distance to the goal from the previous spot? Or, you know, these are 2 big fouls. Should we enforce both penalties? Poll is open. Cast your vote. And let's talk about the results. Okay, so 70% say 15 yards from the previous spot. We got some good rules, guys, on that's outstanding, guys and gals. Let's talk about why. Okay, again, two flags for these are the, you know, we got to understand, are we throwing the flag for the same thing? In this case, yes. DPI, look at the field judge and the back judge moving towards players. We've thrown the flag, but we're moving towards players to dead ball officiate. So good job mechanically. Okay, so let's talk now. We know we have the foul for roughing the passer as well. Okay, let's put the previous spot at about the 25. We got a pass thrown, you know, so we've got a pass play. The spot of the DPI is right around the 5. So 25, we got to do some math. 25 is the previous spot. 5 is the spot of the foul. What is that? We don't have to actually know all the math, but what we have to know is that's greater than 15 yards. That is greater than 15 yards. Okay, so in the college game, we can't enforce DPI any more than 15 yards. So basically right here, and there's, you know, DPI has an exception on this half the distance provision. Look, we're inside the 30-yard line. So what we're going to do is take the ball from the 25 and go to the 10, the full 15 yards. Okay, and you know, referees, work that into your announcement if you agree that that's appropriate, just so that everybody knows. Okay, and then we have roughing the passer. So we've got a helmet to the chin of the quarterback. You know, and that's called. So look, so we've got the RPS. We decline the roughing the passer because that doesn't have the same full 15 provision. But now replay looks at this. And what do we see? An attacking posture, a dip of the head, aiming and attacking, forcible to the head neck area of the the quarterback. Replay comes in, puts targeting on. Now what do we do? Okay, we've got the DPI. We're still gonna go the full 15 for the DPI. We declined the roughing the passer. Even after replay puts targeting on, what do? We decline the targeting. But what does that mean? Our friend that killed the passer's head there, he still, unfortunately for him, is disqualified from the game. So the lesson here is you don't have to enforce the penalty for targeting to be disqualified. The act itself is a disqualifying act. Okay, and then at the end of the play, the other rules-based concept here is his helmet comes off, and what do we know? If their helmet comes off, they've got to stay out of play unless the helmet came off due to a foul by the opponent. So we would want to announce, if we can work it in with everything else going on, that this quarterback can stay in the game because of the fact that his helmet came off due to a foul by the opponent. So a lot going on there. Good job on the rules. Those are our 6 plays. I mean, we nailed the rules, the enforcement aspect of this. I understand that, some of this stuff may seem simple, but again, this is kind of blocking and tackling aspects of officiating. We got to know how to enforce penalties. The minute we think it's so easy, the minute this thing catches us and we get one wrong, and we just cannot afford to enforce penalties wrong. We can't afford to make errors in game administration. All right, so we got 6 plays, 51 minutes in. I thought we'd go 5 hours because there was a lot there, but it always goes a little bit faster than you think. I understand we may have a few more questions, so let's open it up and let's get all these questions addressed.
Brandon, I think you really covered it well, and you must have really covered it well because we really don't have many questions on these plays. I guess I'll tee you up with something, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. That's a lot going on that play. Let's hear you make an announcement. We have referees on, and maybe we'll have a session on announcements at some point in time in the future. Who knows?
Sure.
Let's hear you make that announcement, because you got to make some kind of announcement first, and then we have replay paging, and then we have another decision. So let's hear how you would maybe announce that. Yeah,
absolutely. And if I was not in a quarantine, maybe I'd turn the camera on. No, I'm just kidding. But because we could actually do that too. Think about the concept we could do is we could basically have referees on and give announcements over the platform. That's kind of a good idea. Okay, here we go. What I would, we would discuss, think about the mechanics. So field judge, back judge, you got to come together. You got to come together and confirm that you have the same foul. That happened pretty quickly. And then we don't need both of you running in and bullying the referee over because you're so excited you have the flag. And so you could see, I think in one of the shots, it looked like the back judge kind of just had the field judge, or somehow they decided the field judge report. Okay, great. So the referee really appreciates, concise information from one source, especially if you've got the same thing. We don't need 2 people saying. So somebody's going to report the foul. The referee has to remember his number. He's got roughing the passer, number 90. You just got to keep that in your mind, all right? And now we just need to understand what the field judge has. It's likely that you see the flag down there. It's really only going to be one of 2 things. When the timing with the flag was thrown, you just got to understand the flow of the game, pattern recognition, how these things play out. So you're already thinking DPI in this case. And maybe once the field judge and back judge, what would be really good to do is have a preliminary signal from one of those guys. Pass interference signal, point towards the defense. Okay, we get together. We're probably going to get together since there's 2 fouls and the referee, it kind of takes some time to process all that. All right. So now that we know what we have, pass interference, let's say was on number 24. Here's how I like to do this. If I know I've got 2 fouls by the same team, I lead in with the phrasing, there were 2 fouls on the play by the defense. And right when I say defense, I point out to the defense. And now I don't have to say defense anymore, okay? I can just say, right, and now we're going to position the foul that we're going to decline. We're going to position that one first. So we'd say personal foul, roughing the passer, number 90, that penalty is declined. Pass interference, you have a pause there for effect, keep everybody on the edge of their seat, right? Pass interference, number 24, the penalty is a full 15 yards from the previous spot and an automatic first down. Okay, so now we're going to enforce the penalty. We're going to get everything set up. We're going to get ready to play. And we're going to get paged because replay sees that this is a rather clear and obvious targeting foul that we'd really like to get on the field, but we didn't. So now we're going to go over to the headset. Replay is going to add targeting, talk about, the indicators, taking aim to attack a defensive player to the head and neck area, and it's forcible and all this good stuff that meets the targeting requirement. So it's a good idea as a referee just to make sure, I know it's kind of simple after the fact, but just make sure that we confirm with our replay folks that we've got the enforcement correct. Okay, now this is a live ball targeting foul. Because let's say he put on a dead ball targeting foul and changed the enforcement completely, but he didn't. It's a live ball targeting foul. So okay, now just make sure I'm correct here, Mr. Replay guy. We're still going to enforce the defensive pass interference a full 15 yards. We're now, targeting will be declined, but by rule, number 90 is disqualified. Yep, that sounds correct. Okay, good. And then the clock, incomplete pass, so the clock's correct? Yes, the clock's correct. Okay, very good. Okay, we step out after reviewing the play. It's been determined there was a targeting foul by number 90 of the defense. By rule, the penalty for pass interference is still enforced a full 15 yards from the previous spot, and number 90 is disqualified. Something like that. So you could work on that announcement because that was pretty bad. But just how many inputs is there to make a clear and concise announcement? And I've worked that play and I couldn't even repeat a clear and concise announcement on this platform, but you see what I'm trying to say. It's such a crew effort. It's not, don't just leave it up to your referees. I mean, communicate clearly, communicate concisely so that we understand what's going on and we could communicate well. So that was a good question too, Tal. Thank you.
Thank you, man. That was very well covered. And it kind of gives everyone a bit of an insider's perspective on the thought processes of the referee and what the referee is thinking about. I think it helps make all of us better, even from the other field position officials' perspective. Okay, the referee has a lot that he's thinking about, and this is the way he's processing it. And I think each referee processes things differently. And that what you just did gives us insight. If we were to work a game with you, we would understand how you process your information and how we can better help you, which better helps the crew. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, Brandon, this is the last one I have. And just thanks again for a great session. Again, I think, man, just the point that working through these things on a routine basis right now in April and May is so important. And we sometimes take that for granted. But that's when we end up making mistakes September through December. So really appreciate the effort put in. Just real quick on that last play, suppose the ball is completed at the 5-yard line, right? Maybe he comes down at the 4 right there where we have the foul for DPI. Is that going to speak to our enforcement? Are there going to be any changes, and will that impact your announcement at all? And then that's
that's a great scenario. Much more challenging if you think about it than what happened, because what do we know by rule? Tuta covered it in the first video-based rule session number 1. Personal fouls by the defense can be tacked on to the end of the last run when there is no change of possession. So in that case, we would decline the pass interference, right? Why? Because the pass interference would only take the ball 15 yards from the previous spot. We already covered that. But now we can tack on roughing the passer from the end of the last run by the offense. So in that case, we'd go half the distance to the goal, and the announcement would go a little something like, there were 2 fouls on the play by the defense. Pass interference number 24, that penalty is declined. Roughing the passer, hopefully with targeting. Number 90, that penalty enforced half the distance to the goal, automatic first down. And then if we actually got the targeting on the field, at the end of that announcement, we would just automatically say the play is under review. We go to review, they confirm it. We just disqualify number 90 by rule, and you know, and we wouldn't have to worry about any other penalty enforcement. If we have roughing the passer, we're going to tack it onto the last run, so we can just handle all of that administration up front, go to replay, and we'll be good to go.
Awesome.
All right. Well, look, we try to get these replay links out. I think one comes automatically from the platform. We tried to configure all that. You know, check the schedule page. So check the website, check the schedule page. Lots of good sessions coming up, and you know, you don't have to listen to us all that much anymore. We're going to mix in new people. The whole intent here was to kind of test drive the platform, get a few people used to it so that we could pass and kind of replicate this across the country. So a lot more awesome presenters coming on. This thing's only going to get way better with everybody coming in. So really appreciate everybody's time. Look, stay safe, stay healthy. You know, let's all just keep thinking positively, get through this so that there's just no question in my mind, if I'm an optimist, that we're all going to be back to football in the summer and fall. And everything will go on as normal. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye for now.